Hello, good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Yes We Fight podcast. I am Julia Marie Mays and this guy.
Yep, this guy, Gerald, Mr. B. Paz Mays, chilling like a mug.
You're so ridiculous.
It's my December, Julie.
I know. We're already in December.
It's a long ass
I
hiatus
was going to say,
from
I
the
was
show.
like, welcome back to us. I think this is just our lot in life of, we start something, we're really excited, and then real life really kicks in. Like, we got all these cheering, and we got to run them around, and then all of a sudden, here we are, like 5 months later.
Yeah,
Great
it
seeing
has been
everyone.
like 5 months, right, since we recorded. I think it's
Yeah,
been actually probably been a little bit
it
more than
might
that.
have been.
I think the last time was July. I
Yeah,
think what happened was you made me mad, and then I didn't want to do it anymore.
that is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened.
Well, I will say this though. I mean, it can't be yes we fight if we didn't fight for real.
I mean, that's true. I'm glad that it doesn't happen as
Yeah,
often.
when we were younger.
Uh, definitely working out these kinks because I don't have the energy at 60. At 60, I'm just gonna have to like push you down a flight of stairs.
Damn. All the way to getting pushed down the flight of stairs. And they made Netflix documentaries off niggas that push other niggas down steps.
Well, maybe I'll push you down like 3 steps, just enough to really prove my point, but not enough to really hurt
I
you.
don't think you're in control over how many steps I fall.
Well, that's when I push you. I'll wait for you to get halfway down. I don't want to maim you. I don't want to like really hurt you. I just
You
want
just
you to
want to prove
know.
your point.
I just want to prove my
Damn.
point that I'm not fighting with you and
Why,
I'm not
but
fussing
why
with
does
you.
your point have to be violence to me? Why couldn't you just, raise your voice a couple octaves?
Because I can't do that with you. I can't raising my voice with you is an automatic heighten for you. I really just have to catch you off guard, and I really feel like pushing you down the stairs accomplishes that. You don't
Yeah,
have a chance to
I
react.
would 100% be caught off guard if you push me out of nowhere down some stairs. Just make sure it is 3 stairs because I'm 240.
That's a hard fall.
It ain't no stopping 240 at step 3. The other 240 want to keep going. I got to stop at the bottom.
Okay, well, now that we've been on that tangent, I'll make sure that it's 3 steps.
Now I'm gonna be walking around every time I see 3 steps. I'm gonna be like, oh, what the? Where you at?
I'll 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 be gentle, but don't worry. Like I said, I'll wait till
Right,
60 where there's going to be a build up there. You'll feel it inside.
right,
You'll feel it inside like it's about that time. I
right.
need to really watch myself.
And if anyone has been following our show, right, like this is some new shit. Like we in a new place.
I know.
We're not in my office.
No, we're not.
We're not doing it live.
We have a setup. Look at
We
us.
will be going back to doing it live, but we want to take this serious, and I think there's a part of taking it serious that you have to elicit other people
Exactly.
to also assist you in holding you accountable to this. So we are actually at Megan and Joe Gassler's house. They are the owners of Vim Studios or Vim Productions and Vim Photography. They do everything. They all of those funny ass pictures
of
of
us.
me with my glasses like this. Megan and Joe took those our photo
family
shoot,
pictures,
right?
our
Our
family
family
pictures.
pictures. They have done everything, and Joe's behind the camera right now. He's on, like, I feel like I'm introducing the DJ, right?
I
Like, we
know.
got Joe back there on the ones and twos.
I
You know what I mean? Give him a spin, Joe.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we got Joe, and Megan is out being mom and doing all this other stuff. But we are committed to this format, and we're committed to the things that we want to do. There are a lot of big things on the horizon for the Yes We Fight podcast, the Good Dad Initiative that I hadn't even started the last time we did a show.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that we have coming up. What's the most, like, I don't know, what's the most cool thing that you can see on the horizon for us?
I think one of the coolest things is understanding that that we're on the horizon of is the empty nesting, and not just because the kids are gone. Like, it's not even just because I'm like, oh, I finally am rid of him. It's more of knowing that we're we're close to accomplishing what we really wanted to when we set out to start a family. So
Do you think that's the do you think getting closer to being an empty nester kind of makes what we're doing with these things a little bit easier and maybe, you know,
I I mean, I guess logistically, yes, like it does, but I'm excited to be able to, like, when we had children, when you have kids, and especially when they're brand spanking new and you're looking at this tiny little baby, it's like there's those moments you forget this is an actual human being that's going to grow up and be a person that's like walking around this world. And so it's like now that I'm actually watching that right now with our kids,
mm-hmm,
it's realizing that I'm like, it's smack dab right here in front of me. So I'm looking forward to being able to be a part of their next step. The
right.
next step that does not fully involve me in the way that it has.
I think it's funny because, like, clearly you want to talk about your kids today because I asked you a question about the things that we're producing and putting out there, and you went right to the kids. So
Oh.
shit, apparently you want to talk about them little mother, right?
Oh,
I'm
that
like,
type of
we
horizon.
close to empty
Oh.
nesters. I don't want to talk about them kids. F
Oh,
them
you're right.
kids. But
Oh, you're right. I
since
did.
since you on your mommy ish right now, go ahead. Tell me about how you feel about these little old creatures that we created and on their way out.
No, I think that was it though. Just kind of like, I think you're right. I did jump right into that, and I think that's probably just because that's the priority right now. Like that's where my thought is all
It
the
ain't my
time.
priority. I mean, I'm gonna take care of them, but it ain't my priority. They too big.
That's true. I think
They have their own priorities.
they do, and I think that reality of understanding that they don't have to involve me in anything is so crazy. Like I actually created you. Like I built you. I always tell them, I'm like, I built you.
Uh,
I built you.
I don't know about you building them.
Well,
You
my
more like we don't like I said before, we don't give the oven the credit for baking the cake. And since I was the master mixer, the kid, low key, I made the baby myself.
Gerald, you were the eggs to the batter. Okay,
No, I deposited the cake in the oven. You just kept it warm at 350.
that's a
Made
long.
made made sure it didn't go down
it
while it was in the oven. So thanks for that.
no problem. No problem.
Thank you for that. I appreciate your diligence on making sure that my kids were baked evenly.
Sufficiently the
But
whole
since I have
shebang.
the spoon, then I stirred the batter. That sounds
That's
absolutely disgusting, but also is completely true.
it does. It does. I accept what you're saying. But yeah, no, I think about it a lot actually. I think it's my way of offsetting the fact that like if I want to be around or if I want to be able to provide for them, then I have to like I can't be a jerk. Like, I can't be a jerk. Like these are actual people, like they're not gonna like what I say. I have to do, I think back to my mom when I was making tostadas one day and she literally was like almost like upset at the order in which I topped everything on it. You know what I mean? Like, really? Move over. Let me, you put this first. And so I'm really trying to make sure I'm open to their own style of doing things. And, I stayed in their apartment
Oh
a
yeah.
week ago. Our oldest two, I stayed in their apartment because it was senior night at UNR. And, you know, I could feel myself. It's like the washcloth is there. And I'm like, you need to make sure you guys watch that. It's like you automatically jump into mom mode. So I'm trying to like just let them be. So it's like, how do I guide you into some good habits without making you feel
Hmm.
smothered?
Right. So how are you going to approach this next phase of your oldest kids' lives? Because they essentially go from needing you to do everything for them
Yes.
to like verbally telling you to leave me alone, like verbally telling you that they got it.
I think for me the approach is first of all not being judgmental. Trying not to be judgmental. Like but I think just kind of being a guide, being more of like a voice that can be there to support them. So listening a little bit. You know what I mean? Doing a little more listening, doing a little less, like you said, the mothering, they don't need that. But I think also just being mom, just being mom in general,
Right.
being there when they need me. I think that's the one thing I've learned about children and even young adult children. Even right now, myself as a full grown adult, if I need my mom, I'm gonna go to my mom. If I want my mom, and so because I want them to always have that, I just need to make sure that I'm available for them emotionally.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
just physically, because I.
I like that too because I think that perspective is so important to me because as a dad in the way that I grew up, it's the same result but a different reason why, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like because at my in my 20s, I felt like I was trying to do this shit by myself. I was trying
Right.
to figure it out. I was trying to be the best that I can be. I was trying to stand on business.
And business is
Business. There you go, right?
good.
And I was trying to do all of these things, and it was extremely hard. I made so many mistakes, and there was no one as a man, as a father, as a husband. There was no other person like that I could just share and
Right.
and just like talk it out. Like I'm not necessarily looking for anyone to fix my problems, but I was looking for someone to understand that these problems were real
Right.
because I had spent so much time second guessing that if I was even allowed to have the problem in the first place, if I was even allowed to struggle with these things in the first place. So I think for me, what ended up happening as I got older and my kids got older, I started watching my kids get older, is that as they began to take these mature adult steps, then my focus began to become the support as they move forward.
Yeah.
So I want to be there and make myself available to my oldest kids so that they know that if they need me, I'm there. I won't push. I'll always check, but I won't push. And I'm trying to navigate my personality, I guess, to be a little bit more open
Mm-hmm.
so that they trust that I'm there. Because I think
Yeah.
I think in the beginning of my parenting style, it was extremely militant. I have the Marine Corps background, right?
Yes. You. It
So
was. You're still
everything
in.
everything is black and white, and I think that set me back as they got older. And I think right now what I'm working on the most is just trying to uh, be available to be used by them in whatever capacity they think they need me in. Obviously,
Right.
when I say use, I'm not saying like being used, but like
Yeah.
to be available for,
Right. To be utilized. The thing is,
utilized. There you go. I like that.
yeah. It's the thing is the fact of the matter is as they grow, it doesn't matter whether they're 30, 40, or 50. There will always
Or
be
21.
or 21. Yeah. As
Oh my
as
bad.
they are as they get older, we are getting older at the same place. We are all in the same space and time of moving a year older, so it doesn't matter. Dominic at 21, I'm 42. When Dominic is 41, I will, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so I want to always be in a space where I can give to them the things that I know. They will always have to learn through their own experiences. But if I can at least sit on the sidelines, and I feel like it's such a waste to have gone through highs and lows and not give to them in some way when I recognize, you know, it's utilizing even the things that I'm good at. I'm really, really in tuned with you and kids and to an extent people in general. I really can resonate. I can that oh here we go, like that feeling where I can like feel something. I'm like there's something like yeah, the wind is blowing a little weird over here, so it's like I'm really in tune with that, and that is good and not good at the same time
Mm.
because it creates something in me. If the other person isn't ready to share, it's like something's not right and you won't tell me, and I'm over here just like, is it me? Is it what happened? What's going on? Like I have to. That's definitely something to work out. But with the kids, it's like I can really kind of sense stuff and figure it out. So trying to utilize that and be of assistance
Right.
and not, you know what I mean? On senior day, our oldest was a little stressed. There's a lot going on. He had a project, all kinds of stuff, and I feel it, and it's like, what's wrong? you know, this is this. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Helping him to, honestly, like teaching them how to handle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's not do this because that doesn't help. What can you do that's help? First things first. You know what I mean? Giving them permission to stop overthinking this and saying, don't worry about the working out, start tomorrow, that type of thing. So it's just trying to give them the tools that they can handle stuff that my parents were always supportive. But looking back, I realize I probably probably needed a little more guidance. And again, they didn't do anything wrong at all. Like I have great parents. Like I can't even complain at all. They've always been there. They're super supportive. But I can see that times have changed a little bit and my kids don't just need support.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be spoken to. They need to understand. There needs to be more,
Encouraged.
yes, encouraged,
Right.
communicated with.
Right. Until they are able to fill those spots with other people that are a little bit more relatable
Right.
for them in the times that are going through those similar things. You know, the hardest part about being a parent is that at some point in time you become outdated, right? Like your views, your logic, the things that you believe are right and wrong, it just becomes outdated. And you shouldn't become a bad parent because that happens, right? Like, so as parents, we have to learn to evolve into whether that is taking steps forward or taking steps back. And as they get older, you have to take more and more and more and more steps back. And then hopefully you've taught them to take steps towards you when they need to take steps towards you. The rest of the time, once everybody's gone, we're gonna be out here chilling.
I know. What is it like for you as a dad right now? Like as a father watching the kids grow and be in this space right now where, you know, they need you not even more, but what you provide our children, like the logic and like
Mm-hmm.
the process of problem solving.
Right.
How is that for you right now with kids that are young adult as opposed to like when they're little?
I think uh, to use something that Layla would say is that I think I'm in my era,
Mm. Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like I've been like this forever. It just doesn't translate to a 3 year old,
And
right?
true.
Logic doesn't. You can't have a logical conversation with a kid who just wants Cheerios and that's all. Like there's no like the only equation that he has is can I have Cheerios? Yes or no? It should be yes. If it's not yes, I'm gonna scream my head off, right? Now we get deeper into what I'm actually good at. So I'm thriving right now as a father, and it is definitely spurred some of these other things that I've been working on, like my Good Dads project, my Good
Mm-hmm.
Men's project, and stuff like that, because I've learned that being a father, like the day I laid eyes on Amaya, which was my firstborn, that changed what was now important to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether I knew that at the time or not, it did because now I'm like, all right, it isn't just me, right? It is me and this little mug, right? Little 8 pounds, 6 ounces, little person, right? And then her when her mom and I didn't work out, it was really just us two. And I lived my life like that. Like I was 20 years old and I had I rented a room from a friend and I had a pack and play in there for
Mm-hmm.
my
That's
days.
how I met you.
I fought for Maya, you know what I'm saying, to
Mm-hmm.
make sure I had her during these very specific times on my off days. And every off day from the day she was born, or the day that, which was really like 8 months after she was born, from the day that her mom and I were not together anymore, like that was my life. I spent every week navigating my life to get to Amaya.
Right, because at the time
Right?
you had 3 days off, and so you had her the
Exactly.
whole three
Had her
days,
the
which
whole
could
three
not have
days.
been me. You
And we
could,
be mobbing too.
man, I gave her credit. You could not,
You can't tell
you
me
could
kids
not have
ain't
taken my
can't tell
baby
me
for
kids
three
ain't
days.
resilient. Cause Amaya used to be in the car seat in my little Pathfinder. I had two 12-inch subwoofers in there, banging Ludacris, and she just being there like with the little fuzzy afro. Hell yeah. Shit, I didn't know no different. Cause from my
You
experience,
lost hearing.
yeah, from my experience, being a dad was being there, right?
Right.
Like that was my only thing. It's like the least I can do is just be there and be around and be there to have the conversation. I don't know what I'm fucking doing, but I know it's better than what I
Not
felt
doing.
I got.
Right. Better
Right.
than not doing.
Right. Like, and I'm not, I don't want to point any fingers at my father. Right. But like my father was not as interested as I am with my kids. Right. He wasn't as expressive
Mm-hmm.
as I am with my children. And I am expressive with my kids because he was not.
Right.
Right. It is the things that I wanted that I am giving. I don't know if that makes me a good parent or not. Right. But
Right.
it is definitely like the catalyst behind all of that. So I think I'm, like I said before, I'm thriving in this area because this is who I've always been. And now I have four people that I absolutely love and adore that take what I say serious
Yes.
and really try to implement the concepts that I have as a parent, right? Like I'm not trying to tell them what to do and what not to do. I'm literally like my whole parenting style is literally built around being available,
Right.
right? Like I'm here to talk. I'm going to be here to lecture, to preach. I'm going to do that. You don't have to ask for that. If you stay long enough, you will get a lesson.
Whether you want to or not.
Straight up. But now my kids are more receptive to that because I've done a lot of work over the last 3 years to build relationships with my children the way that they are, like you have. You've been able to do that with our kids from jump,
Mm-hmm.
right? I haven't. I've always been
Right.
this outside presence that only came in when something bad happened or when it was necessary. And over the last few years, I've been able to kind of pull it all together because now they're starting to see some of the things that I would chirp about play out in front of them in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me in that environment is like that for me. For you as a mom, as I mentioned before, it's like you've always had that, right? Like you've always been able to connect from an emotional standpoint with the kids. I have not,
Right.
and I still don't. It's not my cup of tea. I don't connect emotionally. Period. Just with you,
Right. Right.
but I don't feel the need to connect emotionally with people. But that's how you lead with that, right?
Right.
Like you lead with connecting emotionally with people.
Mm-hmm.
So how has it changed for you now that you have older parents that don't necessarily, you have older kids that don't necessarily need you to connect emotionally as much?
I think the thing about having older kids is I've recognized that they do need me to connect. It just is different. It has to be different because I connect emotionally with them just as much as I did with them when they were little. The thing is, I have to check myself. Connecting with them emotionally can be really, really great, but in that way, it's really now about cutting it just a little bit and allowing for them to connect back to me. You know what I mean? So it's now it's a little different where I mean, same like I'm trying to explain it well where it's like at first I'm trying to connect with them, but now they're really trying to come back to me.
Got you.
You know what I mean? It's like
Got
I gave to them and now use that relationship to help them get to the next space. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's like for me, I have to check myself because I'm not the one that's just 21 experiencing life for the first time in certain capacities.
for sure.
You know what I mean? I have to recognize that there are 1,000 firsts that happen in life. All of the firsts that I'm just as a mother, I'm like, oh, that I have to recognize. My kids have to experience all of these things, and I can't hold them back. They have to experience love and loss and figuring out the job. Did you get your assignment on time? How are you going to get from point A to point B? You know what I mean? Like I have to give them the opportunity to experience all those things and then understand that I've built a strong enough connection that when they need that, they will tap in
Mm-hmm.
and come to me because I've created a space for that. Not even just a safe space. I've realized that we talk about safe spaces, and I agree, spaces, a safe space is always more pleasant, but just creating a space because sometimes safety comes with a tongue lashing. Sometimes a safe space comes with real and honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm not a big fan of I'm just going to tell you like it is and if it hurts your feelings it doesn't matter. I don't think that you have to always tell it like it is at the expense of another person.
Yeah.
I think there is a time and space where it's like, hey, you're kind of messing up. Like you're really
Right, right.
kind of.
And I think that's the key to our parenting. If I was to sum up our parenting,
Mm-hmm.
it is we have been able to create trust in our kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that we can give them a tongue lashing if necessary, and it doesn't deteriorate the relationship, right? It doesn't mean that they like it. It doesn't mean that we like it, but sometimes it's necessary, as you just stated.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been able over the years to create the space for us to be able to do it when necessary, because
Right.
it isn't something that it isn't the first thing, right? Like we always, or at least you do. I don't. I'm always like, this is what it is. It's time to get it after it.
Right.
Blah 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 blah. The in between stuff that makes it feel good, like you know what I'm saying, is you,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm the cornflakes and you're the milk, right? Like no one wants to eat a bowl of dry cornflakes and no one wants to drink milk out of a bowl, right? So it's like those things go together. I am the pebbles. Like I'm going to shine a light on the bullshit that you got.
You're the peanut
Right?
butter and I'm the jelly. We let's keep going.
You're the north and I'm the south. You're the positive magnet and I'm the
The
negative
yin to the yang.
The yin to the yang.
Keep-
The Michael to the Scottie Pippen. The Shaq to Kobe.
There we go. See?
The LeBron to not winning all the championships.
So rough. No, and I want you to kind of talk a little bit about, you've really come into your dad era.
Oh yeah, I'm in my era right
And
now, baby.
I really kind of want you to talk a little bit about like what's going on with that and like
Well,
good
I'll start
dad
with
with a
Joe
good
and
dad.
Megan. It started with Joe and Megan. That
Okay.
what our 14th anniversary. That was a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? So our 14th wedding anniversary came here, and we took these dad,
Oh, yeah,
mom
right
and dad
before.
pictures. We'll add them to the video and stuff.
Yeah.
But we took these mom and dad pictures, right? That shit was like the funnest experience for me, and it felt so normal to me,
Yeah.
right? Because my kids already, if my kids had a mental picture of the type of dad I am, it would be that guy
Right.
with the glasses and the fanny pack and the chapstick.
Right. We
and
kept
the
telling
high
them we were
side.
gonna do it, and
We're
they were
not
like,
that cool, right?
yeah. They were like,
I'm not
really?
as cool as I think I am. My kids do not believe that I'm that cool.
I
They
think you're
view
real
me
cool.
like they view me like that, right?
I think
They
you're
view
real
me like
cool.
that. So I think what ended up happening over this last year is I was really messing with these 2 or 3 pictures, right? That became the image for the artwork for the Yes We Fight podcast,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was already using it for that. I was already kind of using those pictures on the website, but it was still geared towards everybody.
Right.
And then as I start to write out, because I had the time, as I start to write out what I wanted to say on a consistent basis and start, writing my blog, I start to realize that my voice was turning towards a very specific person, which was just me,
Right.
right? Like it almost started to feel like a journal. And who am I? Like I like to be honest, like a lot of my identity is built on being a dad.
Mm-hmm.
I never looked at being a dad as being from year 0 to 18. I thought being a dad is a lifetime thing, and that role changes as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like me being a dad becomes, at some point in time, will come me being a granddad. But my role is still as a dad to support my son and my
Right.
daughter
Right.
as they become parents,
Right.
not to overshadow them as parents, right? It is to
Be an addition.
be an addition because I am first their dad.
Right.
And all of these things start to like line up. Being a dad, being a dad, being a dad. And then I came to an epiphany. And I think you and I had this conversation. That being a dad was the most important thing to me. It was the catalyst behind why I didn't want to be a shitbag, right? Like I said before, the day I laid my eyes on Amaya, I wanted to be a better person. At the time, that meant, following all these kukumemi schemes, trying to get rich because the way I thought the best, my
Was to
bet was
provide.
to provide something for them. And I think over time, although I believe that to be true, I believe that providing is such a big word because there's so many things that you need to
Your
provide.
role is so much more ex- expansive than
Exactly.
just the financials.
So 20-year-old Gerald thought that being a dad was just trying to get to the money and put in, like my dad taught me, right? Is to get the bacon so that your wife can cook it. And I low key still believe that, and I have some internal issues that I still process on that because you have to get the bacon. The bacon can be given to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So get the bacon, and then your wife will cook the bacon. And I think now it's like there's so much involved with providing to me, but it all stems from being a dad, right?
Right.
Like I want to be a good dad, and my number one rule for being a good dad is to treat your kid's mom a certain way because I can't actually show my kids that I'm a good dad if I won't treat the person that they love either the most or second most,
No,
right?
definitely the most.
Whatever you want. The person who cooks the tacos should get all the love, right? So I can't actually be a good dad if I'm not treating that person, the person that they care so much about, with the utmost respect.
Right.
And for the longest in our relationship, I hadn't, you know?
Right.
And that's something that I really just want to do. You know what I mean? I want to be a good dad because it is my charge in life to put four people out there who aren't as jacked up as I was,
Right.
or at least don't have my flaws. They have a clean slate to go out into the world and build their own flaws,
Right.
right? They should just not go into the world prepackaged with mine or yours.
Right.
And I think that's just been the catalyst behind all of that. So because I over this past year have recognized that being a dad is so important, and I've met so many people who also feel the same way, like Joe, uh, that I decided to start the Good Dad newsletter and the Good Dad blog. And I've just been writing information and messages for dads because it's hard out here for dads, man. Like there's where can dads get real information that isn't saturated in this toxic
Right.
masculinity, uh and I don't like really using that term toxic masculinity because we use toxic masculinity to describe anything that men say
Right.
that you don't like.
Right. I
but
agree.
but
I
there
agree.
is a level of toxic masculinity that men share amongst each other, right? Like
Yes.
they like the men who do these things then look at these men and say, you aren't doing what we're doing, therefore you're less of a man. Women don't say that, right? Women don't say anything about men and dads and stuff like that, but men are very, very critical of men. And
I don't
I
know. Men are. I think women. I. I. I disagree. I think women are really rough on men, but
probably
that's a separate thing. But
no, I'm pretty sure
like,
that they probably are. But I also believe that the standard that
that's
men
there we go.
create for each other is, in my opinion, probably more detrimental than anything a woman could say. A woman only echoing what other
I,
strong men are saying,
yes, I was
right?
gonna say that too. I think there was an
Because there is
evolution.
a man out there that
Yes.
believes that men should make X amount of money, look a certain
Yes.
way, do this and do that and do that, and they're doing that, then certain women who want that will say that this is what men should be. But I'm here to tell you that men come in all shapes and sizes, and women do too.
Mm-hmm. hundred
So,
percent.
so it should be more conceptual versus specific. And
No,
I
I
think
agree.
there should be some spaces for dads who can get together and discuss the things, because that's the thing that women do very freaking well. Women get together, they brunch, they hang out, and in the midst of that, they discuss their lives, they discuss the things that whatever, right? And you can go on the interwebs right now and find hella clips of dudes saying like, this dude could be my best friend. I don't know nothing about this mother.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only reason why he my best friend is because we are we see eye to eye on this one thing, and that's the only thing we talk about. We don't talk about being a dad. We only talk about the Cowboys. We don't talk about sports. And then this group of friends, we only talk about this, or we only talk about that. And everything is so fragmented. And I think we need to create a safe space for all of us, all of us dads to get together and air out life and figure out a way for us to support one another. Because being a dad in your kid's life, no offense to moms, and I'm only saying this because I'm not a mom, it is the most important thing a dad can do. If you are a dad, the most important thing you can do is work on yourself so that you can be available for your children. And if you do just that, like you'll start to see your finances start to change, your relationships with your significant other, your happiness with life, all around just being a better person for the people that you created. Because I know that they're out there, and if that's the case, I'm not talking to them. But every dad that I met, the thing that drives them and moves them forward are these little people that they create. There is a loving and happy burden that weighs on a man all of his life the day he has a kid. It's not a bad burden, right?
Right.
I'm pretty. Joe can give me a nod, right? Joe, it's the greatest thing that you've ever accomplished. It's the greatest thing that you've ever accomplished, to have another person who looks at you and like, I want to be like. The day that Gerald got suspended from school last summer, he got suspended out that program for basically one of the kids tried to attack a girl, and then he got in the way and hit the kid or whatever, and then they sent him home.
Oh yeah, for the summer
and
program.
he was crying because he was getting in trouble. You know what he said? He said, "I want to be like you." Well, I almost lost my shit. I almost started crying and shit. I'm like, God damn, what you mean want to be like me? And as a dad, I know some dads out here can understand. That should touch your heart because you like, I don't even want to be like me.
Why am I like
I'm trying to be different. What are you seeing in this version? So kids are, for me, like kids are the only thing that can break down a man's wall. Is that kid? I'll tell you a story. So it's a family at the airport, right? The announcement comes over and it's like, there's going to be a delay. And there's this old man just huffing and puffing. He's pissed off because it seems like every 15, 20 minutes, that man, right, or the airlines is saying that there's another delay. And every delay is getting madder and madder and madder and madder and madder. Meanwhile, there's just this little girl just skipping around and skipping around and skipping around and skipping around, right? The girl rips down the man's newspaper. It says, "You want to play?" And he just folds it back up. She does it again, right? And he folds his newspaper up, puts it to the side, and plays with her. Even gives her a piggyback ride.
Is this a random man?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, you being a mom. Look at you being a mom in my story.
Wait,
Look at you.
I just wanted to understand the
Is
context.
this a
That's
random
all.
man? By piggyback ride. Do you?
She got actually on his back.
Where was their mom at?
He didn't push her down when she.
See, look at you being an overprotective mom.
Go ahead. Go in your story.
But what that shows you is that we have two different views, right?
Yeah.
And that little child's view of the world is that people are good. Actually, let me rephrase. Let me give credit. This is from What Happened to You, the Oprah Winfrey book. Sorry, now that I'm remembering. And what, but what they said was like, you look at her view, and she was able to break through his view. And what I'm saying is, that man, right?
Right.
That man was that little kid, as pure as that little kid is, will always be able to cut through that dark man or that thick-skinned man. Always. I don't even like kids.
You do not.
They love me to death.
My class.
And they get me too. I'll be like, all right, then.
No, my class, I promise, I'm going to make sure that every year you make an appearance in my class because I promise you, the second that Mr. Maze, the concept of a Mr. Maze to a Miss Maze is like crazy to little kids.
Yeah, I hate kids.
And
I
they
hate other people's kids if I don't know their parents.
and they still talk about you. They talk about Gerald. They mentioned him yesterday. I was like, I have kids because they were like, why aren't our Chromebooks ready? Why don't you just take them home and do them there? I was like, mm,
I know,
let me
right?
answer
Are you
this
gonna pay
gently.
me, little mother?
I was like, well, Miss Mays has a family too. I was
And
like,
that is
I
why I
gotta
don't
cook
like
dinner.
kids.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta cook dinner, and they were like, wow, dinner. I was like, yeah, I cooked it. I grocery shop. I said, Miss Mays has to go home. I can't do all 16, 17 of your Chromebooks. I said, Mr. Mays, and they're like, you have kids too. I said, remember? And then one of the little girls was like, yeah, do you remember her daughter and Gerald came in by name? No, by name. And Mr. Mays, my one of my students came in. Gerald had brought lunch to me. And I could tell, which is why I prompted you. He saw that you were there and walked in. And I could see him smiling, like, I don't know what he was thinking, but I know,
Prince,
Prince, that he was waiting. And the second I
you
was
probably
like,
shouldn't be saying these kids' name
I
on
know
the
I
microphone, right?
that's okay. I was like, I was like, why don't you say hello? And it's like, why? I'm like, just, just do it. And he did. And
Took
it's,
2 minutes for me to get it out because in my head it was like, don't tell me what to talk to these kids. I don't like kids.
I know, I'm like, just trust me on this one. So,
I said, what's up, Prince? Hi.
hey, he's
You
like, what's
being
up?
good?
I know you. He said yes, and then you brought up that you should have said, I heard you were laying on the
Yeah,
ground the
I should
other
have been like,
day," which is
heard
true.
you was laying on the ground the other day, acting crazy. Hmm.
But yes, kids love you. You don't like kids, which I think is hilarious. But no, I
I
like
like
this.
big kids. I like kids that I could talk to regular. I don't. I
Yeah,
can't. I don't have patience for the goo goo gaga talk unless they my kids or somebody that's related to me or I care for their parents.
right. No, I get it, but I
Then
do.
I'm like, all right, little kid, what's up? All right, stay away from the Jordans.
Oh my gosh. But to go back to that story real fast, I do like that though, just because the perspective of them is different. And when we change our perspective and we allow for ourselves to grow as human beings and as parents and as a person, the thing that we have to recognize as parents, as we kind of like come on the back end of the show, is recognizing that as your children grow, they start to see you as people. My
Hmm.
children have unfortunately had the opportunities to see me not just as a mother or as a wife to you, but as a person, as Julia Marie. They've actually seen me in highs and lows and struggles and figure things out. And I wasn't able to pull the wool over their eyes as fives as
Hmm.
they were at five. Because at
Yeah.
5 years old, if we were having a disagreement, they still went to bed at 8.
Yeah.
But now they're up till 11.
Right.
And so
So they
they
can hear those arguments through
right,
the walls.
they can hear the arguments because their ears are pierced to it like
Yeah.
this.
Or if you have a kid like ours, they listen.
W-
Now, one of them is extremely nosy.
Right. So the thing is, as we grow, we have to give ourselves the space to change and to grow with that the process. You know what I mean? I allow my children to grow, but I'm growing as well.
Right.
So I have to make sure that I am growing into who I want to be,
Hmm.
and I'm growing with the people around me. I'm growing as their needs change. I'm growing with you. If I don't continuously grow with you, then that leaves room for, I don't know.
No, I like what you're saying.
Uh,
Here's something. Here's something I got for you. So I watched this video of this guy, and he said he was talking about when your kids get married or something,
mhm.
right? And what he said was your kids, or when your kids get married, like say your son gets married, you are not gaining a daughter. He's gaining a wife. You are not gaining a daughter. Personally,
I hear what you're saying.
and the reason why I'm bringing this up right now is off of what you said when you said you have to grow with your kids, right? And I think what is being missed in what he's saying is if you are growing with your kids, then you 100% are gaining a daughter, right? Because your relationship with your son should have transitioned to the phase appropriate for what your son needs to now do in his life so that you can view his wife as a daughter. It doesn't mean that you have a say over her because you don't have a say over your son.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't mean that you get to tell her, because you don't get to do that with your son. You get a daughter the same way as you now have a son, which means your son's very first thing is to his wife, and her very first thing is to her husband. And as parents, we have to be the ones to express that to them. It ain't me coaching my son or me coaching his wife. It is us telling them that you can only find your answers with each other, right? Because the only thing that we can say is what works for us. That may not work for you two. You two have to figure that out, and we're here to catch you and mediate to make sure you don't blow up your fucking relationship in the process.
Right.
So what is your take when you hear someone say that, like, oh, that ain't your kid, or because we are at us, our oldest has a girlfriend now. I'm not saying I'm not putting that on them or anything like that, but the dynamics change. And I know this is different for a mom because that's your son, and this is a young lady. I haven't had to deal with this quite yet, to have to watch my daughters find a male counterpart to kind of essentially replace the things that I would do for them. So how is that for you?
Just as far as watching,
Watching your oldest son start to lean on somebody else.
it's actually, I actually don't have an issue with it at all. I understand that that's the natural process. So the only thing that I do is try to guide him in understanding what he wants. I focus on him as a person so that as he's navigating relationships and looking to find a potential forever partner, that he is emotionally aware of himself so that he can be emotionally available for not just him, but for the person he's trying to build and create something with.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to allow for him to be an actual human being. He is my son, but it's not going to be like man up. It's going to be you need to be aware of yourself so that you can guide this process.
Right.
If you want to be, especially because our oldest wants to lead his family life a little more similarly to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the rest right now. Well, the girls are different, but
Right.
I know that he wants to be, so to speak, the head. Like he wants to actually be a provider and he wants to do that thing.
Yeah, that's in
So,
his wheelhouse, right?
right. So because of that, I, from the opposite end, understand what it was like for you and to be on the receiving end of you as a person, as a young person. I try to give him that so that when he makes those steps in life, he's able to process his feelings and he's not going to be lashing out and he's not going to be building unhealthy habits or helping him to identify his own healthy coping mechanisms so
For
that
sure.
he can, you know,
That's true.
again, avoid some
For
of the
sure.
pitfalls that you and I
Yeah,
just
no shit, right?
experienced. So that's really it. None of it is difficult for me. For me, I'm gaining a daughter. I don't know, and I'm saying that from the standpoint of I want my children's significant
Right.
others to feel my warmth. I also want them to choose me for the holidays, which means, I feel out for all of my boy parents out there. You already know girls tend to be close to their moms, so for Christmas, guess who they're going to try to be going to? But your girl over here has a plan. We will have extra beds. We will have warm breakfast.
See,
So,
I'm more along the lines of like, go see everybody else so that we can go to like Jamaica or something for Christmas.
nah, you're coming to my house and I'm going to take care of you. Okay, that's it. We're good.
There goes my plans for the Jamaican Christmas.
No,
Ho ho ho, man. Yeah, man. Merry Christmas, man. Bumper clock Christmas, man.
oh my gosh.
That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, that's crazy. So what do we have coming up? Like, obviously we're in a new space, right? I actually like this space. I like the flow of this. This is
Hmm.
much easier to talk to you instead of sitting at a table, turning my head towards you, right? And looking at the cameras. Now we have Joe here to look at the cameras and monitor the feeds if anybody has questions when we do these lives.
Hmm.
So what's your feel about this? How you like it? What do we have on the horizons as well?
I like it a lot. I think on the horizons we just have consistency. That's what you and I are working on.
Right.
And I think more on the horizon, I'm actually more excited to watch everything that you have for fathers. Like we right now this is our we, and part of our we is watching you develop that because I think that's been probably in the works for a lot of years. It just took that moment for you to recognize that
It took me 3 years
this
to
is
eventually get to this
so.
stage. And Megan and Joe and them, they know I've been here every step. Hey, I got something new. I built the whole thing out. Take a look. And then it's just like, I just don't really like it.
Yeah, so I think just the continuation of us as parents and then our relationship and then everything that comes with that. So it's the same old stuff as every other family, which makes it, I feel like, extremely important and
Right.
relevant.
Yeah, I think what I want to do in this thing that we got going on is I just want to provide spaces for dads, regardless of race, creed, religion, or whatever, because I think we all deal with the same things. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And because fatherhood is the catalyst, then we should be able to create a safe space for us to talk about those things, right? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
all motivated by being better because we want to be better fathers for our children.
Right.
So I I have a couple things in the works. I can't wait to start releasing those things.
Mm-hmm.
That includes this podcast. We're still ironing out the kinks of this podcast, determining how we want to put this out, whether this is going to be a monthly thing or a bi-weekly thing. I do like this setup the
Mm-hmm.
way it is. Like, this video obviously is not going to be streamed live. It's going to be posted on YouTube, but we do want to do one live show a month, and then we want to do the recordings and things like that. So I'm just really excited for all of this, right? Like, it's called Yes We Fight for a reason, because a part of, in my opinion, right, a part of being a good dad is like 1A and 1B is being a husband, right? And ironing out the things that can directly impact how you father,
Yeah.
right? Is that fatherhood is not a competitive sport, it's a collaborative sport, right? And fatherhood has to be collaborative with motherhood, and that relationship has to be built. So that's what the purpose of this podcast is for. It is building the teamwork between
Right.
fatherhood and motherhood, but also not closing your eyes to the fact that there are always going to be disagreements,
Right.
and we do fight every now and again. Not as much now as 5 years ago, but it's a part of any relationship that if you love the other person enough, then you love them enough to argue with them. And people might find that controversial. I'm This is a personal belief, but if I don't love you, I ain't arguing with you. You're a fool. I don't
No.
argue with fools or people I don't know or like, right? But the person that I love and care about, the people that I love and care about, I'm gonna argue with you. So
No.
if you're my friend and you've had a conversation with me, you know I'll argue the fuck out of you. And not even be believing what I'm arguing, just be arguing for the sake of arguing.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's the purpose of all this. So I'm happy to be back. The goal is to be consistent. Let's make a deal on being consistent.
There we
My
go.
back hurts, so I can't be leaning like that. But
So
being consistent, and yeah. So thank you guys for
thank you for whoever's
watching our
watching.
first
Get
show
back.
back to the Yes We Fight podcast and show and all this other shit that we got going on. Make sure you follow us, like, and subscribe,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll be back to you on the next show. Peace.
Bye.